How's it, everybody? It's been a while since I've been out here in Kanaha, but today is Parawing Day. It's been busy with a lot of races. You guys followed all the M2O and M2M races, and it's been really busy with all of that. So I personally didn't have a lot of time to go out myself, but I'm also pretty stoked that I received the Roger V2 from Ensis. If you guys might have seen the video I've done with Carl Muller about the Parawing business and products, you might be interested in that. And we've been talking about racing, we've been talking about funding, we've been talking about where is this sport gonna go. So if you guys like to subscribe and support my videos, it'd be ultimately super helpful. I even have a subscription link for my magazine online in this video description, so any help I can get to continue creating content. But anyways, I have been struggling with the Parawing, and you guys remember the videos. We had the spaghetti drama and the entanglements and all sorts of stuff, and I'm finally actually happy I got through that. So that actually makes me really happy. I got through that, but the one thing that I still can't master is sailing upwind. And you might say, but Mike, this is a downwind tool, not an upwind sail tool. Yes, correct, but I need to sail upwind before I can go downwind, because I have a place where I sail where I really depend on sailing upwind first in order to go do and riding bumps. And it's been a rough journey, you guys. Like every time I think like I get it, I can go do upwind, I just still do the walk of shames. So today I have my app with me, my Strava app, and I will post along with this video my walk of shames, or maybe for the first time ever, no walk of shames. Gosh, wouldn't that be nice? And I'm definitely also stoked, and shout out to Carl and the team over at Ensis for giving me a Roger #2 Parawing. So I'm stoked on that. 3 meters, and today behind me it is already blowing probably 15, 18 and up. So that's the one thing that I'm also struggling with, are the wind speeds in compared to the Parawing, because I haven't really figured out how to power the Parawing off, and I'm just getting yanked all over the place, and 3 meters sometimes feel a little large, at least for me here on Maui. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll make a comparison, we'll sail with it, we'll do some walk of shames, and we'll talk about the product here in just a minute. And real quick, a word on the setup for me that I'm riding as a beginner. I like to ride a shorter mast than I usually do, so this is a 72 centimeter mast, older Armstrong one. I'm using an HA 1080 for added stability and easier lift off, and in general just easier to ride. And of course a massive board here, 121 liters, that gives me lots of buoyancy and stability to get up. The Roger V2, it has added lines for stability. It has that B or A line, has that cross line for easier, I guess, depower and stability. That's good. Other than that, I haven't ridden this thing much, and I'm not a specialist on comparing Parawings quite yet, so I'm going to recuse myself from comparing things, but I would be stoked at one point to ride another brand's Parawing just to see what the difference is. That would be really cool, but for now I'm learning the upwind situation and really see if that Roger V2 is going to be beginner friendly. Let's not forget about adequate sun protection. Have some fun or get frustrated. Here's a quick little verdict. It's blowing out there, you guys, and I have to say I'm actually doing a whole lot better than I did in the past. I seem to have shaken my stability problem, and I think that second Roger has something to do with it, but I feel a whole lot more stable. And on my good side, which is on goofy footer sailing out, for me, I'm actually feel like I'm doing quite all right. I'm sailing out, I kind of hook this thing in. But the problem with it is when I jibe and I come in on my toe side, it is very hard to keep upwind and keep that thing really sheathed in, particularly because I'm mostly sailing it with one hand only. So that is kind of hard. And the big thing that I'm struggling with is like, gosh, I have a 3 meter Parawing here, and if I was winging here I would probably use a 3.5 or a 3 meter regular wing, but a 3 meter wing feels overpowered. I can't shake it, but it feels overpowered. I don't feel 100% in control of it. And by the way, the 1080, way too big for this endeavor here. I got way too much lift. So I actually come in and switch this thing real quick to an 880 and also move the mast way back, because getting out of the water really is not a problem anymore. That was the first concern, was getting out of the water, pump this thing up, you know, like how can I get this out of the water? But that is actually, I solved that problem. I solved the spaghetti problem, and now the final big step is to solve is getting to sail into the wind and the pack away. Tried a few pack aways, not that easy, guys. That pack away thing kind of somehow I never seem to catch all the bridles at once. But anyway, I'm grabbing a smaller front wing here and I'm gonna go out one more time, and as you can see in my squiggly lines from my 3 walk of shames, and not very successful upwind sailing here, despite feeling good with it, despite feeling like I'm making progress. But there's no way I'm gonna be sailing this on the west side of Maui, where I really depend on upwind sailing skills. Right, verdict people. It is not hard to sail a Parawing in the right conditions. I found that out. I've sailed in multiple conditions now, and I found whenever the wind is not too heavy, when the wind is not too strong, I'm actually doing okay. When I'm not doing okay is when it's gusty and when it's blowing 20 plus. It is really hard to keep that thing under control, and when you think you have it, then all of a sudden you get so much pull that you're losing your control. So that's a little bit the story of my life. I'm saying one more time, I can't compare the Ensis Roger to something else, so I'm happy with it. It's definitely stable, more stable than the last one that I had. That's a given for sure. But what I'm really struggling with is the sizes and the wind speeds. And I just had this conversation with a bunch of guys on the beach here, actually, where some guys take a large Parawing to get up on foil while they have a smaller Parawing in their pocket, and then they're that good that when they're doing a downwind or when they're really out in the wind, then they switch out the Parawings. So one guy said he's using like a 3.2 to get up on foil and go out, because a lot of guys try to ride smaller boards, and yes, we do also have a video on that, to try to get a sinker board started, and it's all possible, but it's hard to get out of the water and it's hard to get started. And then once you're up on foil, then you don't need that big of a Parawing anymore. So that's something that a lot of guys are trying to crack that code, is what are we going to do with that? How are we going to get the power to get out of the water and then not being overpowered once we are finally out sailing? So that is something that I kind of thought it was a donkey beginner situation for me, but no, a lot of people have the same thing. They feel overpowered, and it's just crazy to think that a 3-meter Parawing is somehow overpowering me, while I would be just fine in the same conditions on a 3.5-meter regular wing, or if I really want to go and load it up, I could even still sail a 4-meter wing. So that's something that kind of is a little bit of a bummer for me, or in general with the Parawings, because there is no sheet in, sheet out kind of situation. So that kind of bums me out, but I am feeling I'm making progression. And would I not live in a place where sailing upwind is such an essential, crucial kind of skill, I could almost neglect this whole thing and start just doing downwinders by itself, because I can sail downwind with this Parawing, no problem. I can jibe, I can go tow side, I can go normal side, and that's all not the problem. The problem really is coming back to the shore, particularly on my tow side, and that is really the hard part. Coming back to shore on my tow side as a goofy footer, I don't have that advantage like the other guys. Then on the other hand, I got it easy to go out, so that's all debatable, I guess, but I keep on it, and we will have more Parawing videos, and maybe someday I will even be able to have another Parawing in my hand and try some other brands. That would be really interesting, particularly in the beginning stage. Maybe some Parawings are more beginner friendly than others, I don't know, and you guys will know that maybe already in the next video.